Welcome back to another Watch Me Mix series. In this series, we're going to be mixing the track Muddy Water by Dorothea Wessel. Hope I'm saying that name right. This track, I've already done a fair amount of work on it in the sense of just organizing. So you can see I've got things color-coded. I didn't really go crazy on naming and removing sort of like the underscores and the numbers and stuff. But I did color code things by different section. I also changed the track order around slightly, I believe. I might have left it as it was originally given, but yeah, color coding is always good for me. I really like it. I also left the icons sort of as Logic put them. So for example, you see there's a trumpet icon here because it saw the track labeled trumpet. Sometimes I change these, just sort of depends on my mood. But yeah, in this series, we're going to do a really basic mix. We're going to just get things sounding in such a way that the client can listen to it and hear everything that's in the session in a nice, clean, organized way. We're not necessarily going for the best possible mix. This is the very first pass. There's no plugins or effects on this track at all. I have only done one thing, which is I brought all the faders down -10, but that's really it. So there's quite a bit of work to do. And what we'll do is we'll get right into it, and we'll have a little bit of fun here. I'm going to put the volume level back to normal here. And I like to usually start with rhythm. I oftentimes will put the bass guitar up at the top. That's just a habit. Right now the bass is not at the top, so we're going to take these three, which are all bass together, and we're just going to move them up to the top. And we're going to listen to that. This song has basically like a very quiet verse and then this big loud chorus, which just sort of repeats to the end. It also has this kind of interesting intro. But what I'm going to do is just listen to the bass part during the chorus. So there's three bass parts. Just a bass guitar, a synth pad, and then a sub, which is very quiet. You won't hear this unless you have some headphones on and they're turned up pretty loud. It's very quiet because it's very low. All right, so we're gonna mix this starting with the bass guitar. And again, this is going to be very simple. We're going to be putting only stock plugins on, so I'm not going to use any third-party plugins. Pretty much everything is going to revolve around just using basic stuff: EQ, compression, some reverbs, maybe some delays, and then obviously levels and panning. So this bass guitar is sitting right in the 90-ish range. I don't think I'm going to do anything to it because we do have that sub and we have that synth, which is much lower. So all I'm going to do is throw a compressor on this. We're going to use the presets. Again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. We can probably use bass light, or maybe let's try E-bass. What I'm looking for here is maybe 5 dB of compression or so. Yeah, it's a very, very light sound, so there's not much to this. Let's try FET here. Yeah, it's a super light sound, so I'm just sort of leveling the sound out a little bit. This compressor is doing very little here. If I add the synth to this, much lower, we can see exactly what's going on with it. So what we're going to do is just make sure we're pulling out some of those subsonics, like in the, you know, the 30-ish range. We don't need that. But this is living right in the same frequency just about. It's just got some low stuff as well. I don't even think we're going to compress this. We're just going to mix it in. It's so steady, I don't think it needs compression. And I think that works just fine like that with them without even changing the faders. If I add the sub in, this is where we're going to get, it might be hard to hear unless you've got headphones on. If we see the EQ, you can see this is happening basically an octave below. And that's fine. I'm going to do the same thing here. Just make sure we get rid of the 20 to 30-ish in there. We'll just keep this, and then I'll mix some of that in. Now this is sort of like a pop dance track, so I don't want to be shy about the low end. It's sort of like an indie pop dance type thing. Okay, now the kick. Really simple. So this can use a lot of help. Same thing here, get rid of the subsonics. It's a little adjustment here, but you add it up over the 3 tracks I just did that on, and it really helps to get rid of the super low stuff that isn't really helping anything. Now this kick is happening somewhere around 50, 60, which is kind of nice. It puts it below the bass guitar actually, but it does need some more punch. So we're just gonna EQ that and then compress it. We'll go right into, there should be a kick. Let's try the slammed kick, see what that sounds like. Yeah, so we'll unslam it a little bit. Okay, and then what we will do is crank that up on the fader over here. It's much louder. Pull it down maybe -5. And then I'm going to mix these 3 basses in behind it by pulling them way down and then bringing them up with it. So the kick stays on top. Maybe a touch more bass. And then I'm going to take all of them and just pull them back just a little bit, just to give us some more headroom to mix some other things. That's a decent balance. Now, depending on how you want it to go, which direction you want it to go, you could replace this kick. I've done a whole video on drum replacement, but that's one thing you could do. Let's listen to snare. Snare FX. Oh, that's cool. So this is sort of like a compression, almost like a reverby type sound. We're just going to leave that out for now. We'll mix some of that in. So snare. It's pretty thin. Again, you could replace this, but I'm just trying to keep it what the artist recorded. So I don't want to change this into something different. I'm just going to get it listenable for the artist. Okay, and then we'll throw a compressor on this as well. And I think we're going to choose, where is it? The rock snare top. So when I'm compressing this with the threshold here, I'm just looking at the needle as it comes back down after each hit, and I'm trying to get some of that shimmer of the snare sound after the actual initial hit. All right, so now we got bass in here. Oops, here we go. Let's add some of this effect in. Yeah, that's cool. It's sort of like a compression, reverby thing. Does some of my work for me, this one. All right, hi-hat. Pretty easy here. Just pull out any low frequency stuff, boost a little brightness. Don't think we need to EQ this. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't need to compress it. I haven't added any verbs. maybe a touch more of this bass. Selecting all three and then changing the level here allows me to change level on all three of those. Snare back a little bit. Just going for balance. All right, we had some toms over here. Take a quick listen to those. Really easy, simple, simple. Yeah, I'm probably going to ignore these for now. We'll mix them in as we go because they're not crucial to the song. They're just a little element there. Okay, so we got drums and bass going. Overheads. Now these already have a stereo mix on them. You can see this is a stereo track, this overhead track. So I'm not going to do any panning on it. Because I don't know if this was left or right. So it's already a stereo track. Now we got the cymbals only one. Sounds like these might have been programmed drums, but made to sound like a room. It's hard to tell. So we're just going to put both of these at the same level. Because I don't hear any bleed. Oh, there's a little bleed. Okay, looks like these could have been played. It's hard to tell. So we got a little bit of bleed, but no low end in these, which is good. I mean, it's very, very minuscule, the amount of low end. Yeah, almost none. So we'll just sort of augment that a little bit, boost a little brightness, around 6K or so. And here is only some cymbals, some added cymbals. Okay, so okay, so now we've got this is labeled room. Okay, so this will work sort of like a reverb. It'll just give the whole drum mix some space. So pull up the subsonics, go a little further on it, and then what we will do is add some of that in. What's the cymbals only track? Same thing. So we'll kind of treat these two together and we'll add them into the whole mix. Pull them all the way out. And then let's add them in. Yep, so this is just giving some room and some body to the whole thing. A subtle change. It's almost like it's kind of doing the reverb work for me. All right, now we've got this drip here. Okay, this is not part of the drum. It's a percussion thing, but it's not really part of the drums. I'm going to move this down here for now and ignore that. We've got this reverse cymbal, which looks like it kind of goes with all of these. Okay, so it's just a sort of a swell effect, these three working together. I'm going to leave those alone and just mess with their level relative to everything I've done so far. And let's see how they sound. Yeah, I think they could come up a touch. And we'll be just about done with this episode. Cool. Yeah, so that'll do it for this episode. These episodes will come out about weekly, and I'll go a little bit further in each one. So stay with me, and we'll have some fun getting this song ready for the client.